All right, back with day number 5. We are live with the Power Couples Challenge. So I hope that everything in the week has actually grown you and your relationship, and that you're getting to a point that says, like, man, if we could just implement some of these things, we're going to do a really good job and grow our relationship to where we need it to be. They probably do challenge you. That's the goal of the challenge. But you can always go back and rewatch what it is that you have learned and try to implement those things. So we are going to get right into our day, which is Power Couples Money,
Money.
and let's go over these slides and have discussion about what's going on and see if we can grow your money as a couple. So the first thing I want to go over, just because I think it's a good starting point for us to look at principles we um, before we get into talking about everything, because these principles are going to show us that probably the reason or the challenge that we're having is related to we're violating one of the principles, or somehow we're if we're doing well, it's probably because we're accidentally enacting one of these principles. So here are the principles, and we'll just kind of briefly go over them. One is stewardship and responsibility. So stewardship is basically like you're the farmer, like you're the one who takes the seeds and makes sure that those seeds grow into whatever they're supposed to grow into, and that you turn the profits on whatever it is that you turn the profits on. So whatever it is that you're stewarding in your life, it doesn't have to just be money, but in this case we are talking about money. Whatever it is that you're stewarding in life, um, the idea comes with responsibility. And so stewardship and responsibility kind of go together. So treat your resources with care and intention, seeing them as assets to be wisely managed and grown over time. So again, with money, the whole concept is to make sure that you plant your money and then grow the abundance and then replant part of it and then exchange the other and be able to hand out the other abundance that you grow to other people or to other things or other situations, right? So it's a constant concept of cultivation and planting, and then seeing it grow and then being able to transition it to a useful product and get it to where it needs to be um, delivered, right? Let's go a little bit more. And so the next one is generosity and giving. Adopt a mindset of abundance by giving freely and generously, understanding that this opens the way for blessings to flow. So I don't want to think about giving freely, meaning like you give away things for free, right? Like, I mean, that might be part of it, but generosity doesn't necessarily mean that you give away things for free. The idea of generosity says that I'm thinking about others and that giving is an important piece. It's part of the service that I'll do, but it's not necessarily the same as giving away things for free, right? But am I willing to give? I think, even if we were to look at what we've done this week, is just being able to give freely of all the information that we have, all of the things that we know, um, as much as possible, I guess, as time permits, to be able to just give generously to your relationship and the growth of your relationship. You want to do that one?
Trust in divine provision. Focus on your essence, priorities, and maintain faith in your good intention, unique nature, and truthful character.
Right. So this is a huge deal because we talked about essence on the very first day. And the one thing that I keep saying is each day stacks on the other. So it's important for you to be able to start on day one. If you start here, you'll probably get a lot of juice, but you can get a lot more juice if you start with day one. And the one thing that we learn on day one is this essence concept, and the idea that says, look, if I am able to have faith in who I'm being, and then everything changes. If I start worrying about what the world is doing outside of me, then I'm going to have a hard time. But if I can just trust these pieces about how I was built and who I was built by, then everything will take care of what it needs to take care of. So you'll have the work to do, and we'll actually talk about that in one of our future concepts. Oh, here it is.
What is
Precision.
precision?
Mm-hmm.
Precision and hard work. Approach your work with dedication and consistency, viewing it as creative expression of your purpose and a path to prosperity.
Right. So hard work's important. Hard work's not the thing that is necessarily going to get you something if you're not working at the right things, right? So um, sometimes as we're doing hard work, we have to get aligned with where we're actually supposed to be hitting. I just heard this concept the other day that says like the difference between like us throwing a bullet at somebody and a bullet being shot out of something is that all of the power hits off of one small spot, right? And it's because it hits off of one small spot with a lot of power, that precision makes the bullet really dangerous. Versus if I was to get it into my hand and I throw it at somebody, there's too many spaces that it comes off from. And so that hard work of mine that I did to throw it may seem like, oh, I'm working hard, but the truth is, the more precise I am about the hard work that I'm doing, the more effective it is, and it can change for us.
But also because I came from a family that always says work hard, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with working hard, but sometimes we don't realize this. And in our training with Myron Golden, he was saying if hard work, I mean, he has an amazing personality. He goes and said, if you remember when he said, if you dig a hole in the middle of nowhere, work really hard at digging the hole, right? And he's like, it just really makes you think that it's not like that hard working could not be productive
Mm-hmm.
as well, because we don't have a sense of like dedication or where we're going or what intention we have. So it's just something to keep in mind, and that has changed my life for sure, because growing up with like work hard, and you're like, okay, I have to work hard, but why, right? Like working hard is good, but work hard in what is that you want to, something that is giving to others and something that is your purpose, if that's what you want to do. So just something to keep in mind.
And I think that definition is important because it the principle is the principle, but misunderstanding the principle can cause you to do the wrong thing. So if you just saw the idea of hard work and you thought, man, I got to work hard, then you're gonna miss out on what actually is useful here for you in this principle. So contentment and gratitude. My favorite, one of my least favorite words, to be honest, is contentment. But in this sense, I think it makes sense. So cultivate a sense of contentment and gratitude for what you have, meaning like you're not going to start trying to think, oh, I wish I had this or I wish I had that, because that mindset takes you away from where you need to be, regardless of your circumstances, as this lays the foundation for a fulfilling and abundant life. So being able to be staring at and looking at the things that you have and be grateful for all those things gives you the right kind of foundation in your body to have different things besides lack or anything else. And so the contentment says, I'm not going to stare at what I don't have, which is a lack concept and a lack view. And the gratitude is really about paying attention to what we have so that we can fill with more. Okay.
Yeah, and like Bob Proctor say, will send you to the right vibration to get more, right? Like from being gratitude, and that's why it's like a deeper reason why gratitude is so important, right? It's not like you're saying, oh, I don't want more things. No, it's not that. You're appreciating what you have to get to the next level, because kind of makes you in a line, in a good vibration. Maybe we need to do a video about that later.
Yeah. All these things, actually, when you follow principles, your vibration is going to be amazing. And so just understand that is that and your vibe, the cool thing about the vibe is certain things, and this is a little bit of me going down a rabbit hole, so to speak, but it's important. So your vibration can happen on a small vibration level where things are not going well, and that's actually where things like depression and lack of money and those kinds of things start happening, or lack of anything really. Your sense of lack starts happening in those low vibration scenarios. And in the high vibration scenarios, your couple money actually grows. And so, and those things are like gratitude and joy and abundance. And those high vibration scenarios actually create something. And that's the purpose of us being able to give you what these principles are. All right, so those are the five principles that I want you guys to have. You need to go back and relook at them, and there are more that you can enact, but I think they're useful for our conversation today. So, what's the importance of money management in relationships? So, the one thing I didn't want to do today is lace you guys with all kinds of budgeting ideas and concepts about how to do money, because I feel like there's so many opportunities for you to go ahead and pick that up on your own. Like, what can we do? How do we budget as a family? You can easily find those things. So I wanted to make sure that we tackle some of the underlying pieces that are going to give you the right mindset, so that when you are budgeting and you're doing the things that mean, okay, we are focused on money the right way, what's the mindset that I need to actually grow it, right? So money can be a source of empowerment and or conflict in your relationships. And so the reason that it's like that, we're going to kind of break this down as our session goes today. But think about this, like, if I'm not doing money well for whatever reason, whether it's making it or whether it's talking about it or whatever that scenario is, inside of me as an individual, and all week long we focus on the individual first, inside of me, I'm going to struggle. And so I'm going to, if I don't pay attention to me and the things that I have to do, I'm going to create a conflict in my relationship about it, right? Now, if I am doing the conflict on the inside and really working towards getting better at money, then our conflict in our relationship goes away. So the most important part is that um, if you are able to, in your relationship, focus on developing concepts of money, learning more about money, it's actually empowering, and it creates a different kind of vibration, as we were just talking about, inside of your relationship. Just the willingness to learn more and know more, and then share those concepts with each other, starts changing everything. And so that's how it can be a source of empowerment. And then the way that it creates conflict is when we're not dealing the way that we're supposed to on the inside. We know it as individuals, and then we take that into our relationship.
Yeah, money is, and you guys can look this up in you know, what is, when do you do research or what? Money is the number one um, cause of divorce in the United States. I think last time I checked, and you guys can look that, data, updated data, but money is a huge thing, and there is still a lot of us therapists not sharing this concept with you guys about money, because I think that it's a taboo, or like talking about money, because then automatically you have all these. We're going to talk about blueprints in a second, but I just want to tell you guys, money is a huge thing, and let's talk more about it. So then that's the way to uncover more things. The more things we keep like in secret and we don't talk about it, shame grows. So it's shameful, we don't want to talk about it, but then it is the what is causing a lot of problems in relationships.
Yeah. And if you guys go back to our communication day, that's the reason. Everything's in order for a reason, right? We're not talking about money on the first day. And the reason is, if we do all the other days well, it makes these scenarios go a lot more effective. And it's also why we can talk less about some of the conflicts that we would
Very
have.
cool.
So in our next scenario, being able to assess your money blueprint. So this is useful because a lot of times we come in with a blueprint, which is your subconscious beliefs and attitudes towards money. You don't even know a lot of times that they're there. When you know they're there, it's a little bit easier, but you're just interacting on it. And so whatever money ways that you had whenever before you got in the relationship might be different than what you need now. But you just pull on what you've seen in your past, right? And so they're sneaky in there. And it's really important for us to be able to see and understand what's going on with our blueprint, so that we know, okay, this is less about really what I want, and it's more about really what money has been for me. And so it's deeply connected to your behavior and the decisions that you're going to make with regards to money. And we need to be able to assess it in order for us to know how to do it differently. You want to do the assessment?
How to assess it: self-reflection, financial statements, patterns of money management. It is so important whenever you think about this. How come some people save money? They want to go into like, I will save all my money. How come other people go into like, money is to be spent? Some other people say, okay, I wouldn't spend that, but like food is primary, so I'm gonna, you know what I mean, eating out and doing that, because you cannot deny yourself from food. I have heard that too. So it's so important. There's a reason for that. That's where blueprint comes in. It's what we know about money, how our parents did money, and what we heard or see. Like, if your parents were always saying, we don't have enough, we don't have enough for this, right? So then that is something that you're carrying with you, and now we're repeating the same things. Oh, the other one, let's say for a rainy day, let's say for a rainy day, and how, and then let's say if you're that kind of person, I'll say for a rainy, not saying that one blueprint is better than other, nothing like that. This is just to be aware where we're coming from and how it comes so much issues in the relationship. Let's say I'm like that, let's say for a rainy day, and my husband is like, money is for enjoyment, so when I get paid, I want to go and buy something, I don't know, a new phone, right? How is that gonna cause so many issues? Because I mean, like, let's say for a rainy day, and like, you're not taking me into consideration. Now the money is the money, but now it's deeper than that, because it's like, you're not listening to me, you're not seeing me, you're doing what you want, you're selfish, blah blah blah. And do you guys see where I'm going with this? So this is why it's so important. I get so passionate about it, sorry about that, but it's to get my point across, because for me, when I discover my blueprint and put it all together, and how does it matches my husband and all of that, gosh, it makes a huge difference in myself and in my relationship, and to be able to be like, wow, where I get that from, and where I want to do from here on.
Mhm. Yeah, and so the important piece is for you guys to self-reflect, and so you could put that into your challenge concept is really look at what yours is. It's not up to you to look at what your partner's is, right? If they come to you and ask you for help and what they're seeing, that's a really cool opportunity in the relationship, and I love that. But that's not our first step. Our first step is to do self-reflection, and then maybe even be able to share that. And then sometimes you don't do a good job at self-reflecting, right? Because you knowing is going to cause you a lot. And so what will tell you the truth is your financial statements, right? And our financial statements kind of let us know, okay, this is what's going on. And then from there, you kind of work backwards on what needs to be done, right? So there will be patterns, and you can start to assess that once you see your financial statements. Don't just look at last month's, look at the previous months and all the months, and see, like, man, I may think that I'm doing it different, but I'm doing it the same thing, same way than I was 20 years ago, right? So really be able to assess. I guess that's 20 years ago if you're in your 40s, but for people who are younger than that, a long time ago, right?
And sometimes looking at a blueprint and doing something different, it means breaking generational, how can I say that, baby, like generational blueprints of how, like, our families
Yeah,
deal
a
with
lot of
money.
people had already done it.
So it's so important. It's not gonna be easy, and it's because, can you imagine, it's a generational that has been happening, but you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a good way for us to start looking at it. We're going to talk about 5 mindsets that are stagnating your relationship money. And a lot of these will come from your blueprints. Just because other people did things a certain way, we're in a totally different era. So we're not even in the same era. And the way that money used to work, and the things that were in the world and how things could work might not be the same as what's right now. And so let's look at the mindsets that could be stagnating your relationship money. So the first one is scarcity versus abundance. And the truth is, the more that you focus on the idea that there might not be enough, you're creating a hardship inside of your heart. And the reason is, and it goes back to your essence scenario, the reason is, and if you look at the first day, we actually talked about abundance, because you're wired really for abundance. So it creates a contradiction. We're going to get into that in a second. But the important piece here is that scarcity concept, the idea that there won't be enough, is going to reduce the effectiveness of your relationship, money, and your relationship with money, right? And so I think it's important for us to really be able to look at these and say, okay, do I have these? At what rate do I need them, and at what rate don't I need them? Right? I'm gonna do that one.
Fear versus courage. And that is so important, because if we look at money with fear, that changes the concept as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so courage is, it's the way to go, instead of like the fear.
Yeah.
And it's not part of us, like you're saying, it's not part of our essence. That's another thing that I just recently learn is that fear doesn't come from our essence. That's like world installation in my body. So courage is what it's part of, like who I really need to be.
Yeah, and part of being fearless isn't like being reckless. So
Oh
understand
yeah,
those
no.
words aren't synonymous. Like they don't go together. Just because you have courage doesn't mean that you're reckless. What it is that fear doesn't guide you. It's not you're using a faith that says, "Look, I am capable and I'm supposed to be having abundance, and so I don't need to worry so much about that things won't go well." Right. And so it's just really moving things around and understanding that, man, I need to separate out the idea between fear and reckless and understand that I don't need to be fearful to actually grow me and grow my money. The past versus future orientation. So this is a hard one for a lot of people because um, everything around us gets to look at what was done. For instance, you jump on social media and you look at how somebody took a picture, not how they're taking a picture, but how somebody took a picture, right? And so you start looking at what have I done and what am I not doing, and all those things are past scenarios versus where am I headed, right? And the more that you can think about where you're headed versus all the experiences that have happened to you hard that are going to stop you from doing the next thing, or all the things that somebody else did that's in the past, and we're going to actually get more into that in a second. But the more things that you talk about that already happened, which you have zero control over, then you're going to get to a stuck point in your relationship money because you're so focused on the wrong things. You can't grow something when you're focused on the things that haven't grown because your energy goes to the wrong spot. So if you can focus more on what is in the future and what's going to happen and what you are planting and what you're growing and how you're cultivating that, then man, everything changes for you. You recognize our principle in there actually too.
Entitlement versus gratitude.
Mhm. So I think that the important piece is that we always feel like something automatically is owed to us. God doesn't owe you, somebody else doesn't owe you. Like nothing's owed to you. And the replacement of it, and even though we talked about it earlier, the replacement of it is you being grateful for everything that you have instead of feeling like you're owed or should have some other things, right? So the more that you can focus on hey, I'm grateful and the work that I put in is what I get back out versus I think that somebody should be giving me a fair opportunity, or I think that I need more situation to go my way, or if something else wouldn't happen, I wouldn't have got this. That the concept that says something should be given to me because I did X, Y, and Z is a scenario that keeps you from going out and doing the things that you need to be able to do. The more gratitude focus you have and the more appreciation, you're going to grow those things that you appreciate. This one is complexity versus simplicity. And so distraction is a huge deal. And I talked about it before, and we could probably talk about distraction in a lot of different ways, but sometimes we make things too complex. Like we ask too many questions about how things should get done. We ask too many questions about why things happen. And we're just making distractions for ourselves. We're adding too many different things in our life, trying to go to this place, trying to go to that place, trying to watch this show, right? We're adding too many things in our life. And the more we're able to just simplify, and I gave the story earlier about how a bullet gets hit just in one small spot, right? And that makes it a lot more potent and dangerous than if I was to throw it, right? It's the same bullet, right? And let's just say we shoot it the same distance that I could actually throw it. Um, it becomes more dangerous just because I simplify things and I make it so that I'm honed in and I'm specific on what it is that I have to do, right? And so us just being able to get away from the distractions and simplify what's going on instead of making it more complex, you start raising up your couple money, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to have that. All right, here's a huge deal, and this one is counterintuitive, and I didn't shape it the same way that I shaped the other ones. Um, Time versus money. So the concept that time equals money or money is time is an unfair concept for us because time is, and you can do the comparison for yourself, time is infinitely more important than money, and all of you will agree with it even without me giving you an example. So I'm not going to give you an example with that, but what I will challenge you to ask yourself about is what makes you be willing to spend more time on making money than time with the things that you care about, right? That disconnect that happens, and we'll talk about the disconnect in a second. The disconnect that happens is creating a challenge, and it's a mismatch between what you're doing in life and what you actually want. And as long as we have that, you limit your relationship with money. And if you limit your relationship with money, then it challenges your actual relationship.
And I just want to say something, and I know that you probably didn't want to say it, but I'm gonna give the example. And I think that we always, you know, I hear this a lot. Money is not the most important thing in my life, or okay. So what is important? My family. Okay. How much time do you spend with your family on a Monday and doing Monday to Friday, for example, if you have a 8 to 5 job? Well, how come we're spending that much time of our day making money? That's why we go to work, and less time with our family, but we're saying to ourselves that our family is more important. So there's a contradiction, and we are not being honest in that sense. Because, yes, we need money to provide for our families, but then money is important and my family is important. Do you guys see how we can start like changing language in the communication day, the number in the third day, Wednesday? We did talk about language being spiritual. And then if we are more truthful with our words, and it's so important, because money will not come to us if we don't think or start saying that money is important. We're not saying that, but we're doing that. We're going to work. We're spending a lot of our time making money, but we're saying that it's not important. So it's a contradiction, and that really impacts our relationship with ourselves and with others, because, yeah, like we're not being truthful. And something with time that I heard recently is that that's something that we all humans share across. You know what I mean? A 2 year old has the same time I have, 24 hours a day. It's what we do in our time that defined like who we are, because we're spending that time. But that's for another video.
So how do you shift those mindsets that we talk about? And awareness is a huge key. That's a huge skill, actually. A lot of times we don't realize how skilled we have to be aware and to really kind of know what's going on and challenge some of those beliefs. I mean, obviously, as I'm talking to you about things, I'm giving you a different way of being able to think about it, and we have the principles that we laid out early on just to help you get to challenging that. But you being able to challenge them is your own accountability scenario, and then as your relationship grows with it, you two as a couple can develop what your belief system should be about money, right? And then the more you can adopt positive affirmations around money scenarios, you start creating a different kind of mindset in your mind. So if all your life you've been told money isn't important, and that's been an affirmation at some rate or another, you can switch it over to a positive affirmation and start building that into your mindset. All right. So
Mm.
this is a special topic because this is off the charts as far as like um, power couple money and what that would look like. Again, most people would present to couples, how to budget and those kinds of things, which is really cool. It's useful, and I think that everybody should probably have something like that. But it won't last, or it won't be as good if we haven't totally shifted our mind over completely, right? And so, how does playing small in money contradict your relationship? Boom. Well, the idea of playing small looks like this. One is you're probably avoiding financial responsibilities, you're not investing, you're fearing risk, you're playing victim, you're enjoying scarcity mind or employing scarcity mindsets, fighting instead of growing, and then there's all kinds of distractions that happen in your life. All those things are playing small in your relationship, and as I read them, I feel like I can already sense the reason playing small is not going to go with you having a booming relationship, right? But let's go into it. So, what are some of the consequences? Well, in your relationship, what happens is you start creating conflict and not being able to trust each other, and overall as a couple, you're not getting to your full potential. Here's the big concept. Here's the bonus that I didn't put up here. The bonus is this: Because you yourself as an individual is playing small in your relationship with money, you don't expect anything big to happen in your life or in your relationship. Those two things don't go together, right? So when you create a contradiction between your feeling of money, meaning like, I don't care if I have that much money, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're willing to say to yourself, like, I don't care if I have that much money, you're limiting yourself. So you can't know abundance in the relationship and it grow to the hugest point that it can. And then in another area, not feel compelled to be as big as you can. Right. So there can't be a contradiction. And that's a lot of the reason that playing small and money contradicts your relationship, boom, because if you inside of your mind reduce the idea that there shouldn't be abundance somewhere in your life, or that you're okay with status quo, I promise you that's how your relationship will be too. You don't have control over that. That's just how it works. That's how you operate. So in order for us to be powerful as in our relationship, we need to be able to say, actually, and I don't even care what you do with the abundance of money that you get, you can give it all away. The point is, you can't have a sense in your life that says, I'm going to be okay with just zero, or I'm going to be okay with just one on a scale to 0 to 10, right? You have to say on a scale of 0 to 10, I want 10 mini, right? And the more that you can do that, you start having the same thing in your relationship. The less you do that, then the more that you're going to create something in your relationship that says, we probably won't have the max amount of relationship that we can have, right? So we really have to be able to realize something different. And if we're able to look differently at how we're setting goals and get educated together and grow together, it works in all areas. So even if you were to start saying in your relationship, and we can flip it the other way, I think if you were to say in your relationship, hey, we want to have the best and most amazing possible relationship as a couple, we set that kind of goal together where we're able to create growth ventures and take risk and be able to get educated together. The more that we're able to do those things, it could actually flip the other, say, well, if we're going to do all those things, we better grow our money, right? So it all kind of goes together. Did you have something together?
No, I just, you explain it. I just wanted to say, like, so what you were saying is, if you played it small on the money, like, oh, just to have the rent is enough, kind of thing, just to pay your bills is enough, then that means that you're saying having an okay relationship where, like, we at least not fighting, it's okay. Is that what you mean? So each other area will become like that.
Right.
Okay.
Here's the other factor that goes into that. As you're saying that, I think it's really important for us to recognize this. The other factor of that is, it's hard to love at a max level somebody who's not pursuing their max level. It's hard to, and a lot of people won't like that I tell you that, but it's hard to love someone at a max level when you're not pursuing at your max level. If you're playing small in life and you're playing victim, or you're playing whatever the list of playing small was, it's hard to love that person. Now, I'm not freeing anybody from their responsibility of being loving or being respectful, but what I am going to say is, you make it difficult in your relationship when you play small, because it's hard to go towards that person. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, if somebody has to caretake you in your relationship, they don't get to romantically love you. That's what we do with our children. Our children are small, they play small, we take care of them, right? But that doesn't allow us to we don't have a romantic love for our children. Well, the idea that we act like a child, or that we're playing small in those scenarios, says that we're going to have a hard time being able to create love in our relationship. I got to battle two things: one, seeing you be small, and then two, doing the loving things, right? And that doesn't make an efficient road. And so that challenge there is bigger than what you guys realize, and I want you to be able to get it. And that was worth more right there than the price of admission, I promise you. So a couple of things I want to give you before we take off, so that you guys have this. One thing is, money flows or needs to flow through your income producing assets. And so you guys can go and do all the research that you want to on this. I just want to give you the mindset. I can't go from making money to paying my bills. That can't be my goal. That might be your thing now, but you can't do it. You can't go from making money to buying toys, and then the toys, and then paying the bills of the toys. You can't do that one. You have to go from making money to buying income producing assets. What are income producing assets? That's a partnership and a pursuit that I want you to be able to start digging up and trying to figure out for yourself in your relationship. That's part of the challenge. The second thing is I want you as a couple to have a money vision. Be able to say where you guys are headed based on the concepts that we talked about today. What myths do we need to do away with? And then what do we need to be adding on to our relationship if we're going to be successful in the money area, right? So before we take off, most of you will probably access us through the YouTube, but I want to let you guys know is we will have another challenge next month. But in the meantime, we also have opportunity for you guys to participate in a retreat that we'll have at the beginning of next year. It's a couples retreat, but we only have limited amount of spaces. And so if you want to take advantage of that, please send us an email, right? Send us an email and we'll make sure that you will get into that
The information
get the
needed
information for that. And so that's out there. We talk about being able to grow our relationship. It's huge for us to be proactive. You guys, thanks for being able to spend a week with us. Any closing statements before you take off, baby?
No, I'm like so excited, and I feel like, this week coming together and, giving you guys all this information and give you some challenges. And but with the retreat, it will be in person, and that challenges we'll be able to do it right there and then to see if we all doing those challenges, because in order for us to really grow and do something different, it requires for us also doing that. We're not changing if we're not feeling uncomfortable, and if we're just doing the same things we've been doing all along. How our relationship gonna get better, right? So it's believing that you can do that and getting the help that you need somewhere else if you don't know, right? Like where to go, to build your relationship, having a better communication with your partner, the best intimacy you can have, and money. All of those things are possible to have in your relationship.
All right, you guys, thanks for spending time with us, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Yeah.